So even though Kia wasn't the first manufacturer to introduce the box-on-wheels economy car to the American market, it is the only one left on the market, and it's even the company's best-selling vehicle in the US. This week, the company has sent me over the latest rendition of the Soul. This is the 2017 Kia Soul Exclaim with the new 1.6-liter turbocharged engine. When the original Soul was introduced back in 2010, it was a direct response to the very hot-selling Scion XB and Honda Element at the time. Now, you'd be surprised to know that all the other Cube vehicles are actually gone. The XB is gone, the Element is gone, and the Nissan Cube is gone, which leaves the Soul really the only box vehicle left, and this has been a hugely successful vehicle for Kia, and you can really thank the company's marketing department. The hamster-loving box-on-wheels funk machine is definitely a well-known vehicle, and the commercials speak for themselves. This is the company's best-selling car, with Kia moving over 150,000 souls annually, and it competes in a very interesting category, kind of like a small hatchback, like a Mazda 3, like a Golf, but it also occupies that small subcompact SUV ground like an HRV, like a Trax, like a Jeep Renegade. So it's a very interesting vehicle for sure. And you can see this all-new second generation was introduced back in 2014. I first showed you guys the vehicle like 3 years ago. And this is a really interesting looking vehicle. I think the styling still works for me. I actually thought the second gen Soul was a good looking vehicle. I still think that's the case today. And for 2017, Kia made slight updates. The biggest change being that new 1.6-liter turbocharged engine found under the hood of the top-of-the-line Exclaim model. And you can see the design of the front has the very Soul traditional design cues, these very bug-eye looking headlights. LED daytime running lights are new on the Exclaim model. They actually are integrated into the headlight, and they're on all the time. Bi-xenons are included if you get the tech package on this Exclaim model. It's the first Soul to include a factory bi-xenon option, I believe, as all the other Souls have had projector halogens. The Exclaim also rolls in these LED fog lights, and overall I think the design really looks aggressive. Out of all the box cars, I always thought the Soul was the best looking, and it certainly will still kind of grab your attention, especially in this new for 2017 color called Wild Orange. Now, coming around the side, I really love the 18-inch wheels that Kia includes on the turbo models. They fill out the wheel wells nicely. They're on like 235 series rubber, so they're pretty fat tires, and this car kind of gives you the impression of a hot hatch, even though I want to say it's more like a lukewarm hatch. About the size of this vehicle is interesting because it definitely is small. However, it does look big because it sits up nice and high, even though it's not like SUV high. The Kia Soul has about a 101-inch long wheelbase, 163 inches long in overall length. Now, if you compare that to like a Mazda 3 hatchback, this vehicle is like 12 inches shorter than that car, which doesn't really look that way. It looks like it's pretty big on the outside, but it makes this car a really great city car. It's really easy to park, really easy to drive. Now, out back, LED taillights round out the package, and the turbo models include this chrome dual-tipped exhaust, which actually makes a pretty decent sound. It's similar to what Hyundai is using on the Elantra Sport. Now, overall, I really like some of the mild changes that Kia's made to the Soul this year. But enough about the exterior. Let's take a look at the inside and see how it differs from the funky design of the outside. Now, my tester does come standard with Kia's smart key access system with push-button start. Here is the current key fob for the vehicle. I think it's time that Kia actually replaced this key fob. It's looking a little bit cheap looking for me. Now, to lock the door, you just have to touch this button here. That locks the door. The mirror is also electrically fold. Nice little feature. To unlock it, there's no sensor on the back of the door handle. You have to touch the button again, and that will unlock the door for you. Now, looking at the interior of the Soul Turbo, you can see there are a couple of changes that I'm noticing compared to that 2014 model that I showed you a few years ago. First of all, you're going to notice the seats. They're kind of a two-tone leather and cloth. There's some orange stitching to give you notice that you have the turbo model. It also has a nice flat bottom steering wheel, which does look nice with some contrasting orange stitching. I mean, overall, the cabin of this car certainly gives the impression that you bought a little bit, or you bought a more expensive car. It has some pretty premium materials in here. Now, stepping inside, it doesn't have that high SUV step-in height, but because it's a box, the roof is nice and high, so it's easy to get in and out of this vehicle. And you can see here, shutting the door, The door still sounds pretty good. It's a pretty solid chassis for me, and I like the way the interior looks and feels when you first get in this car. Now, to start the vehicle up, all you have to do is put your foot on the brake, push this button here to start the engine. Now this 1.6 liter engine doesn't sound all that pleasant for me at startup, but when you start revving it out, it actually has a pretty decent noise, a little bit on the buzzy side, but you know, it's a small 1.6 liter for what else are you going to do? But anyways, looking at the rest of the interior in here, you can see it's pretty similar to that 2014 Soul that I showed you. There's actually pretty nice materials. The dash is all soft touch, really nice high quality graining. There's some nice piano black plastic trim splashed throughout. The instrument panel hood is stitched here with leather, which is nice. The door panels here are also leather, or I'm sorry, it's soft touch, same from the dash. It's nice and padded down here. The windows are one touch automatic for the front windows. Kind of expected that. It's a nice little touch. There's some good storage in here. You can put your phone right here. There's some bottle holders down there. And of course the steering wheel. I really like the new steering wheel on the turbo model. Nice flat bottom, really nice 9-3 grip. It's also a heated steering wheel if you guys go for this top trim like that, which is definitely an unexpected feature. One thing this car doesn't have, however, is cooled seats. It does have 2-level heated seats. If you want cooled seats, you have to actually step down to the Plus model and get a premium package, which is interesting because I remember the 2014 model that I had cooled seats, so it's a little weird how Kia is kind of not including that. Another thing that's also missing, there's no lane departure warning, forward collision alert, automatic braking, lane keep. Kia doesn't offer it on the top trim Exclaim Turbo model. You have to step down to the Premium package Plus model to get lane departure alert and forward collision alert, which are just passive. It's not the active system. So in the safety department, Kia is a little bit behind there. I expect the company to rectify that when they redesign this car. Now looking at the head unit here, it's the standard, you know, Kia Uvo interface here. This is the home screen. Your navigation, your media, your music sources are down there. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is included on most trims. Very nice feature to have. I just reviewed the Toyota CHR. It's a feature that was lacking. The Soul pretty much has all those features that I was looking for. It's nice to see it, which is one of the reasons why I was knocking Toyota so much by not including it. It's a very, very nice system. It works well. The touch response is pretty quick. It gets the job done. When you go to the map display here, it's the standard Kia, you know, navigation head unit here, which does work as well, which has decent graphics. You know, inputting a destination is pretty simple. And when you put the vehicle in reverse here, you do get a nice backup camera with some distance markers, but no active trajectory, no parking sensors. This is a pretty small car. It's just a pretty rudimentary backup camera system. Now, looking at the rest of the controls here, you can see you have a single zone automatic climate control. You have very nice large buttons. I like the fact that there are 2 knobs here, one for volume, one for tuning. Down here you have just one USB port. This is where you're going to connect it for your Android Auto and CarPlay. There's 2 12 volts here, a place where you can put your phone. This controls the 7-speed dual clutch automatic. Now it's, of course, it's standard on the turbo engine. It's a decent dual clutch. Kia's definitely been working on, you know, improving it. We'll get into the driving dynamics later on. It has a manual shift mode here. No paddles on the wheel though. I kind of wish it did have paddles. More piano black plastic trim here. You can see coming to the center console lid here, it doesn't slide forward or anything, but it's a good position. It's leather stitched. There's some decent storage in there and another USB port, I'm sorry, down there, only for charging though. You can see looking above you, my tester has an optional panoramic sunroof, which I believe may actually be like the only one in the segment that has this big sunroof that's this large, so it's a really nice premium feature that Kia gives you. They also throw in all LED lighting in the cabin as well when you get the panoramic sunroof, so it's a really, you know, upscale environment. It makes you think that you paid a lot more than you actually did for this car. You also get a nice Harman Kardon audio system with speakers that actually pulsate to the music, which is definitely cool. It doesn't really work as well as I'd like though. It only will pulsate to certain sounds and only if you turn the volume up really loud. But I mean, overall, I'm pretty impressed with the cabin of this car. It certainly looks and feels nice. It has lots of premium features, lots of great features that you expect Kia to throw in that really give this car an edge over some of its competitors. Looking at the rear seat of the 2017 Kia Soul, you can see it's also a really huge area for the rear seat passengers. I mean, this is a box on wheels, so you get lots of space as you expected. Getting back here, the floor is nice and low. It's actually a flat floor here, so you could fit 3 across. Shutting the door, It sounds pretty nice as well. The materials back here are hard touch plastic, not soft like the front, but it is padded down here, and Kia even throws in 2-level heated rear seats, which is definitely nice. There's also another power outlet here, another USB port for your rear seat passengers who want to charge their phone and whatnot. Kia only gives you one map pocket. There's no vents back here as well. I wasn't really expecting that. There is a pretty nice fold-down armrest here with 2 cup holders. I mean, overall, the back seat, thanks to this huge panoramic sunroof, is definitely not a bad place to spend time. Now, a power tailgate, of course, is not available on this car. This class of vehicle really doesn't offer that. You can't expect that. Now, opening the trunk, even though this is a box, the trunk capacity is a little bit on the small side when you have the seats up. This is like 19 cubic feet of space. The Toyota CHR had about the same, and HRV has more with the seats up. Now, if you fold down these seats, Kia does rate this car at a rather cavernous 61 cubic feet of space, which is definitely a lot. You can see the floor doesn't really give you a flat load floor, but this is actually the largest in the class. That's like 3 cubic feet more than what the HRV offers you. Now, looking underneath here, you can see there's some more additional storage, and then there is no spare tire. Unfortunately, Kia only gives you a fix-a-flat kit. Of this Soul Exclaim, it actually has its own engine, and it's a new engine for 2017. This is the company's 1.6 liter turbocharged gasoline direct injection double overhead cam 4-cylinder. It makes the most power. This is the most powerful Soul Kia has ever offered. 201 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. It's the same engine that we know in the Veloster Turbo and the Elantra Sport. Now, this vehicle only comes with the 7-speed dual clutch automatic. There's no manual available. You have to get the Forte 5 SX to get the manual if you guys want the stick. The Soul only comes in front-wheel drive. No all-wheel drive is available, and surprisingly, it gets the best gas mileage out of the 3 engines that's available. This is rated at 26 in the city, 31 on the highway, about 28 combined. So it's a win-win here. You get like 40 more horsepower, you get the best gas mileage, you get that dual clutch transmission. The vehicle weighs around 3,200 pounds, a little bit heavier than its siblings, which is expected. But let's get out on the road and see how it all works, shall we? So it's been a while since I drove the Kia Soul, roughly about 3 years, but I was relatively impressed with the second generation model. I thought it needed one thing, and that was more power. In fact, Kia says that their clients keep asking for 2 things, more power and all-wheel drive. They decided to add the more power because it was a little bit easier, a little bit less expensive for them. So this turbo, 201 horsepower, let's see how it boogies, shall we? Alright, so a little bit of traction issues. That's kind of what I expected when you have, 195 pound-feet of torque going to the front wheels without a limited slip diff. But you definitely feel that extra 40 horsepower and like 45 pound-feet of torque. This thing gets up and moves. However, it gets up and moves a little bit slowly. I feel some turbo lag. I feel a little bit of hesitation from the dual clutch, but I kind of expected that. Hyundai and Kia are still kind of working on perfecting their formula for this, powertrain combination. All right. Okay, there we go. Once it finally caught some traction, it gets up and moves pretty well. Oh, front-wheel drive car still understeers. Huh. Now, Kia did also tune the suspension a little bit differently on the turbo models. It still has a torsion beam semi-independent rear, so it's not the most sophisticated suspension system, but this car is pretty playful. You'd be surprised how well, it goes through these corners here, and the engine seems well matched to the overall chassis. Oh, really bogged down there, come on. Okay. Now, the non-turbo Souls will get to 60 in like almost 10 seconds. They're pretty slow. This turbo model feels like around a low 7-second car. It's definitely added the speed that I was looking for. Unfortunately, it doesn't really put the power down all that well. You guys notice when I put my foot down with the traction control on, it's really, really aggressive. It'll cut power. The dual clutch will kind of, try to figure out how to apply the power. It'll bog. It can be a little bit annoying. It's a little bit of a jarry experience. In fact, this whole car in general has kind of a stiff feeling to it. The ride is also incredibly bumpy. Now, it doesn't really bother me. I just noticed it a lot more because I just drove the 2018 Toyota CHR, one of this car's competitors, and that car handles and rides much better with its independent rear, its all-new chassis that Toyota's been tuning. This car feels like it could go to finishing school a little bit. The steering, though, however, is nice. It's an electric power steering assist. It has decent weight, good precision, decent feedback as well. You know, it really kind of, you know, makes you feel a little bit more confident. Really, you're just going to notice the bumpy ride. The visibility in here, though, is excellent. Big side mirrors. It's a box, so you can see out of it really well. My tester does have blind spot monitoring with a cross traffic alert. It doesn't really need it. You can see everything. But, I mean, overall, it's a pleasant driving car. The seats are comfortable. You sit up nice and, you know, with a great view of the road. Just know that it needs a little bit of fine tuning in the handling department. You know, you'll feel the understeer pretty early, and the suspension will crash over some bumps. Okay. So I turned off the traction control there, and it didn't like seriously cut the power annoyingly like it did when it was on. So, you know, I felt a smidge of torque steer. This car doesn't have much torque steer with the traction control on, but when you shut it off, you feel a little bit of the wheel, you know, fighting you for grip, which is where, you know, Kia could throw in all-wheel drive. They say that it would be very expensive to add all-wheel drive, and it would also eat into the interior room, which is why they haven't done it. They may do it for the next generation. I don't know. We'll see. It depends how much Kia customers keep demanding it. This car really is the best selling out of all these box cars with 150,000 units sold annually. Now, I'm going to put the drive mode here into its normal setting. It'll quiet down the noise here because the dual clutch makes it rev a little bit higher. And you know what, this is a decent highway car. The ride settles down on smooth pavement. However, you do hear some wind noise and road noise creep in. This is not a quiet car. It kind of reminds you you're driving an economy car. And the dual clutch, unfortunately, still needs to go back to finishing school. This is not the telepathic, you know, smooth, quick shifting dual clutch that you expect from like a Volkswagen but even like Acura with their 8-speed dual clutch does a little bit better job. But, you know, Kia's been improving at it. In normal mode here, you know, it'll behave like a traditional automatic sometimes, but when you're stuck in traffic, when you kind of put your foot down, it'll kind of hesitate and then kind of jarringly, you know, downshift or upshift, whatever, and you feel that it's not a traditional automatic. And it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Now, that begs the question, would you rather have this kind of laggy turbo with a slightly dim-witted dual clutch, or would you rather have a naturally aspirated engine with a CVT like the HRV or like the CHR? You know, me personally, I still would rather take this dual clutch because it makes decent noises and has decent shifts when you get it going. It's just at times you're going to have to deal with it being a little bit laggy, a little bit lethargic, a little bit stupid in the way that it shifts. But most of the times, you know, if you guys don't drive like a jerk like I do all the time, you're probably going to find it to be quite pleasant. Now, let's talk a little bit about the fuel economy because this car gets the best gas mileage out of the three engines. And I actually have been averaging about 25.2 miles per gallon in mostly city driving. On the highway, I pushed it up to about 30. So, you know, it's a box. It's not aerodynamic. I was expecting it to do roughly that, which is not bad gas mileage. You can put regular gas in this thing, so that's pretty good as well. It has like a 14-gallon gas tank. So I think at the fuel efficiency, it could be better, but again, how much more aerodynamic could you make a box? I guess if Kia maybe added some start-stop technology, stuff like that, it could improve the fuel economy a little bit more. Now, let's talk a little bit about the price, because there's a reason why this sells so well compared to its competitors, and the Soul is probably one of the least expensive of the vehicles in this class. It starts at like $16,100 for a base model with a manual. Now, good luck trying to find one of those. The automatic's like a pretty expensive $1,600 option if you guys want the automatic. So most Souls are going to be closer to 20 grand. Upgrade to the Plus model, which gives you like the push button start keyless access. That'll cost you closer to 20, like around 19,000. Now this Turbo Exclaim model starts at 22,800, about 3,000 more. So Kia's not really asking that much more for the turbo engine. If you guys remember, the new CHR that's coming out starts at like 22,500 for the base XLE model, like 24,500 for the premium. So again, the Toyota has a little bit more in terms of active safety. However, the Kia has plenty of premium tech features in here, like navigation, big sunroof, leather, that the Toyota simply doesn't offer. Now, my tester, of course, has several options on it. The tech package is like $4,000. It throws in that big pano sunroof, the HID headlights, the heated seats, heated rear seats, heated steering wheel, and then the pano sunroof, again, optional, is like $1,000 as well. So my tester all in is just over $27,000, which definitely sounds expensive. A lot of you were probably thinking, I could go get a mid-size Kia Optima if I wanted something like that. Now, you could. However, there's a lot of people who have an Optima, and some of you may want the versatility of a hatch. You just want something different. You don't want to drive the same car that your parents drive, which is probably an Optima or a Camry or an Accord or whatnot. But anyways, if you keep the options in check, you can get this turbo model for like in the low $20,000 range. So it represents a good value for me, and I think there's a reason why this car has been a strong seller for Kia, why it remains the company's best-selling car. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview of this 2017 Kia Soul Exclaim with the new 1.6-liter turbo engine. If you're looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, keep subscribed to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.